Hello again everyone. Today I bring y'all a special treat. I know a lot of people have been asking for me to do commentary on my videos regarding what I am doing and what I am thinking while playing. This video today will hopefully fulfill that request. If y'all like how this video comes out, let me know by liking and possibly even subscribing. It will definitely help me out. Anyway, let's get into it. So right at this moment, since I like playing fairly aggressively at the beginning of the match by getting into more forward positions, I'm thinking that the best place for me to use one of the TCM's greatest strengths, the unmanned turret, is to find a forward hill that will hide my hole while still allowing me to poke the turret out and hit any passerbys. This means that I must either go towards the smaller hill on E5 or the larger hill at G6. Seeing as the smaller hill at E5 doesn't allow me to see the enemy until they're already in the city center, this leaves me with going to the larger hill at G6. Now I do make a bit of a misplay here. If you look at how my team is positioned, I should really be looking to my right instead of my left, seeing as they would spot anything before it got to me. You will see here that I am correct in believing the enemy should appear first on my right. Luckily my camo is pretty high, so I'm not immediately spotted, and since the hill has an incline opposite of their approach, repositioning isn't too difficult. Now as you can see here, I hold my shot until the enemy has committed to the move, allowing me to potentially get more than a single shot in before they're able to get to cover or even start returning fire. With my team still not spotting anything coming into the center and the fact that I still have two allies next to me, I will remain in this position, getting shots on any unsuspecting enemies that try to push the flank. Unfortunately, this is short-lived as the enemy are now flanking my teammates and me from the alley behind us, and with the ever-increasing number of enemies in front of us, I decided it was the best time to retreat and get a bit closer to the rest of the team. Now because I am in between multiple teammates and have my hole facing towards my exit, I feel comfortable enough to be able to get a few more cheeky shots into this leopard before attempting to reposition even further behind my allies. Now unfortunately, the leopard didn't exit the smoke down this way, so I wasn't able to get any extra damage. Now I'm going to exit while I still can, and since I'm going to be in friendly territory, I will begin my replay. Seeing as I have allies here, and here, it is safe to say that entering the city center here would be safe. With my reload just about finished and in a hold down position behind my allies, I can now start providing covering fire. This tank does struggle to pen a lot of tanks frontally, so going for tracking shots will at least allow me to protect my allies as well as farm assisted damage. Now I do get a lot of questions regarding why I always zoom completely out between shots. To this I say constantly zooming out allows me to see the rest of the battlefield and see if I need to focus elsewhere. It is similar to using the compass map versus the large map, taking in information that while not totally relevant to the task at hand, it still allows me to start planning ahead of time. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get a lot of damage with that magazine, and some of my allies did end up dying. With the remaining teammates being outside of the city center, I figured it'd be best to vacate the area and set up shop on the outside, closer to the remaining allies. While I would have been terribly flanked by that leopard, the fact that my teammates were all along this flank meant that the leopard was distracted by them, and it would allow for me to get a clean getaway to my next firing position. As you can see, with me being behind my allies, I am again able to provide covering fire against any enemies that will be coming out of the city center. Do notice that since my allies are applying pressure on these enemies, I can also fire on them with impunity. Unfortunately, one of my allies has made the fatal mistake of being caught out of position and is now fighting a 2 versus 1 battle behind the buildings where none of us left alive are able to provide assistance. Since it looks like all the enemy are now turning towards that unlucky ally, I figured I'd try to at least get a few shots into them while they were distracted. Now I know that since I only have a partial magazine loaded, I'm not going to be able to get much, but every little bit counts. Again, while it wasn't much, being able to lower their health as much as possible will make dealing with them later easier. Now I made a bit of a misplay here by coming this way. With 4 enemies alive but only 2 spotted, this leaves me with 2 enemies unaccounted for. My reasoning for this was that since my ally on the western side of the city appeared to either be on the hill or at least in a position that would make covering me if the enemy were to turn and start focusing me, going this way would have put a couple buildings between us as well as putting me closer to these other 2 allies. Now I immediately heard the notification saying I was targeted, so I knew that since the 2 spotted enemy weren't able to see me, it had to be one of the remaining 2. Now because the targeted notification didn't pop up until I turned down this road, I knew whoever it was aiming at me had to be on this road and not the road that I was just on. Because I normally keep an eye on the map while moving, I immediately saw this blip appear and knew only a weasel could stay unspotted that close. Knowing that I couldn't evade it, my only chance to avoid getting hit was to pop my smoke and hope it causes them to lose control of their ATG. Luckily, this was the case and I managed to go unharmed. Since I now know there's a weasel on the overpass behind me, it's best if I change up the plan and enter back into the city center so I could avoid any further attacks from the weasel. Unfortunately, my team finishes off the last of the enemies in the city center, leaving us with 2 unspotted weasels. Luckily, one of them gets immediately spotted, and it coincidentally happens to be which direction I was going. Also coincidentally, they both happen to be together, making it much easier to chase them down and fight them. Now a bit of a misplay here by auto aiming, and that's why I'm switching over to sniper view so that way I can target them myself, seeing as the shell velocity and turret rotation is just far too slow to keep up with the weasel. Now that is a very bad play on the weasel's parts, just because they're both heading in the same direction. I personally would have recommended them going in opposite directions so that way they can regroup somewhere else. If they were to have split up, this would require our team to decide which one to chase, potentially allowing at least one of them to escape and even potentially set up a trap. Now unfortunately, this guy managed to get away, but was quickly taken care of by my allies on that side. And that's the end of the match. Now if y'all like this video and want to see more of them, let me know by liking and possibly even subscribing. As usual, I'll have the gameplay coming up here shortly without the commentary for those of y'all who prefer it that way. And as always, good luck out there, and I'll see y'all on the battlefield.